and Winsuper is English. So, Kanar's coming in with the facts in the chat as well. Winsuper from England, Arc from Australia. So, you know, take what you will from that. Honestly, I don't know. Just an interesting bit of information. The unverified PBs of these two runners, Winsuper at a 132, very, very respectable time, and Archmage at a 146. Sorry, I believe that she went that in the race in one of her races recently, which is really great. I think both of her races. Not both. Her race against me, actually, she PB'd fairly considerably at a 146. Really, really great progress from a new runner. All right. Looks like we're getting into it. So this opening part is about a minute and a half. I've seen this part a million times, but it's just kind of unskippable story stuff, and it's going to lead into a shmup sequence, which not a whole lot to talk about aside from a couple AI manipulations, but honestly it's just good clean combat trying to get rid of the waves as quickly as possible, and from there obviously that more waves will spawn and you'll go faster. I do apologize, I am going to be alone. If I stumble over my words, I am trying my best. I am a little bit tired as well, but that's enough excuses on my end. I'm pretty excited to be commentating this race. I hope you guys are excited to watch it. So they are taking damage here from these lasers. They're going to be taking a little bit of damage throughout. Ooh, Winsuper. Showing off his very quick button pressing skills. When you're in this section of the shmup, you can't actually use any of your stuff, pod program, fire, anything like that. So it just kind of comes up with that error screen. So that's Winsuper pressing buttons incredibly quickly. As I was saying though, they are taking damage here, going for the AI minute. Looks like Archmage gets most of it. I think Winsuper did get it just like he's supposed to. It's for the third and last time. They are going to be taking damage to get rid of some of these, as you can see, some of these recoveries in their menus, because that is going to allow them to menu a little bit faster to get buffs in some of the mid-boss fights before the final boss of this section, which we call Prologue. So it looks like neither of them going for the second AI manip, which honestly I don't blame them. It can be a little bit finicky, but what you do is you take that one other ship there and you push it off screen and you let it take care of one of those waves, and then you take care of the other one. Now we're going into a top-down shooter style, away from the kind of Galaga style that we were just seeing. And again, you're gonna want. Sorry guys. By the way, thank you, Systematic, for thanking me for commentating. I will be trying my best. Again, clean combat, just getting rid of the waves as quickly as possible. Gonna take a little bit of damage here, just getting rid of those recoveries, and we're going to be going into the next section of this opening shmup sequence. Now, a few things about this game. If you don't know about it, this is not what the game is going to look like for most of the time. For most of the game, it is a very fun beat-em-up style, but there are these weird shoot-em-up styles mixed in there, honestly, seamlessly. When I was playing through it casually, it was a very, very enjoyable experience, just constantly going in between both styles, and really well done. You're going to see both people just clearing out waves. There are a few techniques. You'll see Winsuper, Archmage doing a pretty good job there too, taking out all 4 of those enemies. And you'll just see little optimizations here and there, just taking out these enemies as quickly as they possibly can. If you haven't played it, Fudge Cow is saying very fun game in the chat. I don't know if he's saying that PogChamp to me saying it's a fun game, or just PogChamp because it is a fun game. But if you haven't played it, it is on Steam and PS4. It is on sale very frequently. I would definitely recommend picking it up. From a casual perspective, it is incredibly fun. And if you ever have any technical issues, you just come to the speedrunning community. We do know a lot about the game. So we are coming into this beat-em-up style on Winsuper's screen, as you can see, and Archmage now. And this is going to set the groundwork for pretty much the whole run. What you're seeing right now is the main form of combat, which is light sword in the heavy slot, and what the Winsuper is doing, and Archmage now, is doing a dash and then a heavy, and this actually increases our damage by about 5 times. We call that damage glitch or damage exploit, and eventually we will be moving the short sword to the other slot, and we'll be switching weapon slots and doing 2 of those at one time, and you can imagine that the damage output for that would be incredible. Now, another interesting thing that you maybe saw there was Winsuper flashing his flashlight very, very quickly. Archmage doing it now as well. This is what we call taunting, and that's actually what the game calls it. And Kanar is saying the game is not fun after the 1000th time. I would have to agree a little bit on that. On stream, I maybe a little bit cussed out Yoko Taro about some of the game design when I was frustrated. It was a low point for me, I will admit. As I was saying, the flashlight turning on and off is going to make the enemy glow red, and that means that they deal 50% more damage to you, but the drawback is that you deal 50% more damage to the enemy, and so obviously that, on top of the damage glitch, which is going to be another 5 times damage increase, it's going to be a lot of damage. Once we add buffs into that, which you actually did see a little bit of, it's an incredible amount of damage. And then if a player gets Virtuous Contract level 3, which is the name of the short sword, both players getting what we call crane skip, which is just some fancy movement. Normally you shoot down that crane and then you go over stuff, go all around. We're trying to be fast, we don't want to deal with that, so you do a high jump, get on top of that crane, and then you keep going. What you're going to see Winsuper over here doing is trying to line up these flyers and get more than one with a laser. Unfortunately, only gets one, which you really honestly do want more than that, but they oftentimes do not want to cooperate. And this is a much like the shoot 'em up sections, where you want to kill these enemies as quickly as possible. Winsuper coming up on bridge skip, notoriously difficult, and it's in prologue. He misses the first one. What you want to do is a delayed lift and then some other fancy movement, which is a light attack, heavy attack, jump, light attack, heavy attack, dash, plunge. So it's a big string of inputs. Let's see how Archmage does on it now. Failing the first one, but that is totally respectable. As I said, very difficult. There we go. Gets it. Good job. Second try, definitely respectable. And then if you just saw what Winsuper's doing, what Archmage is coming up to now, doing a off-screen high jump to get over this fence here, and then being out of bounds by the lava. Did Winsuper? Oh my gosh! Winsuper got a God Laser. The God Laser is basically when you get rid of some of those shield enemies, you get some of their shields down, and then you do that pod program, which is a laser, and it gets rid of all of them. That is incredibly rare. It looks like Archmage got it as well. Really, really crazy that happened in both runs. Winsuper positioning himself to get a couple of these enemies with that laser. Ideally, I think you want 4. Grabs 2, though, definitely not going to hurt him much in time. Archmage not going for that strat, just going for the damage glitch straight through him. Both doing a pretty good job, keeping it very even, honestly. Just a couple seconds of variation between them. It looks like Winsuper trying to get, or I mean Archmage trying to get some stuff. Oh, Winsuper going for angle swag here. Ooh, that's not gonna get it. He needs a jump heavy here, which is that, and gets that. Let's see. And perfect. That is actually a potential soft block. If you go too far to the left, you can soft block on that. But it looks cool as hell. It saves like maybe a second. I think it technically was timed to 0.8 seconds, but that wasn't with perfect movement. So it's honestly, it's just cool. It's a very much a swag strat. As for a systematic your question as to if the God Laser is skill-based or luck-based, it's pretty precise timing and positioning. There is a luck aspect involved, because we've theorized that it has to do with these stubbies being in a jump animation when the laser hits them, and then the shields don't actually block the laser. It looks like Winsuper going for the buffless strat. I don't know if he's got enough time. He is going to have to slow-mo, which is going to lose him some time here. A little bit unfortunate, but that's all right. It looks like Archmage probably going for the buff strat. Is going for the buff strat. That is what a lot of runners do, as you're not going to risk losing that little time if you do miss it. Alright, we're coming up on angles here. Angle's a little bit mean. Looks like Archmage having a little bit of problems killing off marks too. That does happen, unfortunately. This part is much harder to kill than the first part. Gets through it just fine. So this part on Winsuper's screen, who's on the left, he's coming up on angles. We see the big boy controlling those tiny little arms. You thought that the arms were the boss? Nope, it's actually angles, which is the big boy in front of us here. Now, defense boss. Yeah. So what we're seeing from Winsuper is something interesting. This is actually just a timed section. He's just kind of waiting out the clock, dealing as much damage as he can to angles when he punches at him, and doing what's called pod slow-mo. So when you charge up a pod program, it slows down everything around you. And so what he's doing, since this is purely a time section, he's slowing everything down, tacking on as much damage as he can on angles, and just kind of waiting for the timer to run out. Both players are in that section. Winsuper doing the cool guy strat of just walking slowly, not looking at the explosion. There goes the cutscene. We're going straight into the angles fight. He doesn't get punches, which is really great. Winsuper in chat saying, finally. I can imagine that he's been getting punches a lot lately, since he said that in the chat. That is actually I believe the best attack pattern you can get. Any of the melee attack patterns will cost you time. Clap is, I think, a 6 to 8 second time loss, and punches is actually 24-second time loss. So any of these ranged attacks, I think it's possible that Archmage got punches, which is unfortunate in what I was talking about. But that's just the name of the game sometimes, unfortunately. You'll see Winsuper chilling on this left pipe, which is, in fact, the right pipe to be on. It is not the right pipe, it is the left pipe, which is the correct pipe, I should say, to be on. And what this is doing is just getting a little rest. Just giving yourself a little rest. There's really no other advantage to doing that other than just giving yourself a little rest. Archmage doing it too. It's become kind of common practice in the NieR community to do this. Archmage on the correct pipe as well. I'm glad. You'll see Winsuper dodging into, or heavying into that cutscene so that he can just skip it quickly, doing what we call a double plunge, which is, or a double lift, rather. A double lift is basically that upward swinging motion with the sword, and it has an interesting animation, so if your feet touch the ground, the game registers, okay. Shabu, you are alone? So unalone or alone, but yes, I am alone, unfortunately. I will try to be as good of a commentator as possible, but the lift, as I was saying, your feet kind of dangle, and if they hit the floor in a particular fashion, it will actually refresh your jump and allow you to do another lift and have your jumps left over, so really good tool for getting height. We'll see Archmage coming up on that as well, so you can see what I'm talking about. Little feet dip and gets the double lift perfect. And I really asked for a much better double lift than that. This is another timed section, waiting for some dialogue to go by. When 2B says, "I told you to shut up," you're really hoping that Angles punches you. Otherwise, it's just a little bit of time loss. None of this matters. Fun fact. So this is just, again, tacking on some damage. The rest of the run is very dense and does not have a whole lot of waiting around. Unlike Prologue, there are 2 sections that are purely timed, which is this and the one that I brought up earlier. But, you know, commentator's curse, hopefully not. Let's hope that neither of them get an attack after. You don't really want missiles here because that is a longer animation. This is actually just a little bit of time loss that is just unfortunate. It's RNG, and while there isn't a whole lot of RNG in this run, that is one that is an RNG thing. The RNG went well for Winsuper. Winsuper got ranged. I think Archmage may have gotten punches. I'm not entirely sure. I wasn't looking over at Archmages at the exact time, but I think the Archmage maybe got punches, and I explained what that is. So this on Winsuper screen is about to do something pretty interesting. Do a heavy and then a dash to cancel that animation, just so he can whack angles 3 times in a row, get that quick kill, and that results in prologue being over. About a 15-10, respectable time. And you'll see he's doing something very strange after the dashes. He's punching after the dashes. That pushes you a little bit forward and is, I think, over 15 seconds of perfect movement with dash punches. You save 0.8 seconds, which sounds like a very small amount, and to be honest, it is, but if you're trying to optimize something, you're going to be looking for every little bit that you can, and over a run that is an hour and, well, for Winsuper's case, his PB is a 132. Over the case of a 132, then you're going to need all that time save that you can get. Archmage coming up on the heavy dash part. Neither of them got a double hit. Double hit is fairly rare. We're looking into what actually causes it, but Winsuper on menu percent, which is a lot harder than it seems. Navigating these menus can be a little bit difficult because there is some menu delay. Looks like Winsuper has no problems with it, though. I'm getting more and more nervous by the second about my race with Winsuper, just commentating and watching him. Let's see if he goes for the dialogue cancel. It'll be interesting how these 2 players approach different sections, because there is a lot of variation between runners and how they like to approach things. So if Winsuper does a little dash back, most likely means he's going for the dialogue cancel using 9S. You bring up, yep, looks like he's going for it. He's going to go over here, probably SD, and then get this dialogue up. And what that basically does is, if you've played the game, if you haven't, that there's a really kind of annoying slow walking section where they talk about, this is where you could save your data, you know, little tutorial stuff. What that does is you get rid of that dialogue by bringing up your own little text box, and text boxes usually will override most dialogue. So if you bring up the change AI thing for your partner, which in this case is 9S, it will override that dialogue and make it so that it doesn't come up. And you'll see Winsuper just doing dash punches, going for optimal stuff as much as possible, skipping that cutscene. I'm probably going to skip this one as well.
Why do you think they sent a combat model like you to a recon job?
Now, Archmage, let's see if she goes for this dialogue cancel, or just goes for, nope, looks like she's going for another strat. Most runners will either go for the dialogue cancel, or they'll go for a jump or dash heavy there, and that allows you to be a little bit closer to this door. The dialogue cancel is a little bit faster if done perfectly, but it is incredibly finicky. So the way that Archmage did it is just a little bit more on the conservative side, and something that I definitely see from a lot of top runners included. Now we're back in a shmup sequence with Winsuper, and he's just going to be taking these guys out as quickly as possible. Using the pod program that we finally have, which are those missiles, they deal lots of damage very quickly, and that is going to be a very incredible tool for the shmups coming up and taking out bosses and mid-bosses and stuff like that. This shmup sequence is pretty low, or pretty small. Sorry, guys. Near, far, wherever you are. That's right, Fluffy. Thanks for watching. Going back into the 3D section instead of the shoot 'em up section. And what we're gonna see here is just, again, clean movement, trying to get to the resistance camp. Ooh, unfortunately, what you want to do there is you want to either heavy, you want to dash punch, or jump into these cutscenes that make you slow walk, because it is a couple seconds of time loss every time you get one of those slow walks, which you can avoid by doing this kind of dash punch that he's doing, or by doing a dash heavy into a cutscene, which we'll see a lot more once we upgrade the sword, and I'll explain why in a second. Or you can jump into it. All of those things, ignore that animation.
Like this lately.
Looks like Archmage doing a pretty good job of clearing out that shmup sequence as well. Pretty close race, honestly. And now we're coming into the resistance camp. Resistance camp. Words are hard, guys. Don't forget. And basically, this is going to be a sort of central hub for a little bit. We're going to pick up some fetch quests. I'm going to take a second. I'm just going to breathe. You know, take some breath. Let myself recuperate from a second from talking for so long. Okay. As I was saying, I'm going to pick up a few fetch quests here, and what this is, you know, if you've played a video game, you've probably gotten a fetch quest. He's going to go out, kill some enemies, pick up some stuff, take it back, and that's going to allow us to do something very, very cool and interesting, which is upgrade the short sword, which the short sword is such a vital thing in this run. We use it for dash swinging, we use it for double damage glitch, we use it for other movement options and stuff like that. The short sword is probably your best friend as a runner, maybe aside from SD, which is self-destruct. We'll be seeing a good amount of usage of on Winsuper screen, I'm pretty sure. But again, we're seeing that pod slow-mo charging up that pod program, which slows everything around him. That allows him to pick up those items very quickly, rather than getting aggroed by the enemies there. Alright, so again, gonna kill some enemies here. They're gonna drop what we need. Going for a relatively new strat. So Marble, number 2 runner in the world. Super great runner, super great guy. Check out his stream, Marble Soda. He came up with a strat that you attack the stubbies, or the small enemies, and leave the large biped for later, because the large biped will follow you wherever you go. Whereas the stubbies take a while to get there, so it ends up dropping all of the items very close together. And so we see Winsuper doing that very effectively, and then going back into the resistance camp to turn in those fetch quests and pick up that virtuous contract, which is the small sword I was talking about, and pick up the upgrade for that. A little bit of swag there, doing the dash swing, that's what it looks like, by the way. You kind of twirl around, and getting that dialogue at the same time. Here we go. There he goes. That's the upgrade, and what that does is increases the damage considerably, by quite a lot. I'm not sure if it's the same as the 3rd upgrade, but if it is, then it's a 55% damage increase, and I'm sure someone more knowledgeable, particularly Kanaris, who is the world record holder, will be able to give us the actual straight-up numbers. But more importantly, for a lot of things, particularly movement, we're going to see that it has a faster attack speed. And why that's important is because the attacks will come out more quickly and allows us to do this interesting type of movement, which we call dash swinging. And if dash punches saved about 0.8 seconds every 15 seconds, dash swinging saves about 1 to 1.2, I believe. Again, utilizing that pod slow-mo to get through those enemies without getting hit or aggroed. That being said, every time you see him do something that isn't a dash swing and kind of a slow little swing of the sword, that does actually lose the amount of time that you would have gotten from 3 dash swings. So, you know, it's an oddly risky strat, but an oddly necessary one at the same time if you want to be a top runner. Okay. This run is so dense. We're coming up on buys, and so you're going to see Winsuper buy a couple things, including buffs, recoveries, and some more interesting things, which is a sachet, which is a fun word to say, honestly. Sachet. If you're watching and you have any desire to say sachet out loud, it's a very fun word. And some animal bait and a resilience chip. 45% damage increase, by the way, on the upgrade. Thank you, Sissy. I appreciate it. Ceci, another really great runner. But resilience is really interesting because it makes it so that you don't get stunned by any damage. Normally when you get hit, you kind of have a second that you recover from things. But if you're above 80% health, which you will be oftentimes in a fight, you'll see runners just spamming heals, and that's to stay above that 80% range. And when you have resilience on, that 80% and up health, you don't actually get staggered by hits at all. So Winsuper going for a very interesting trick here. It's called, we call it a Desert Discovery Skip. There we go, Jack. Good job. Basically what he's doing is literally skirting around, doing this very precarious trick, literally for like a 4 or 5 second time save. That's it. It also skips Jackass, which is the character's name, that blows up that wall and allows you through. You don't have to go through that whole cutscene or that dialogue at all. One thing I forgot to mention, which is on Winsuper's screen, or I mean on Archmage's screen on the right, is she's flipping behind that teleporter, which if on Winsuper, in his race, he would have, both runners probably picked up that save point, and so that's going to allow us to do an out-of-bounds save scum later and skip some dialogue. Whew. Alright, Winsuper picking up Pod C. We have Pod A and Pod C now. That's going to allow us to do a little bit more damage, have an extra pod program, but also a little bit more importantly, allow for longer pod slow-mo times. Fluffy, you brought that upon yourself, my guy. You're the one who typed it in chat. If it's see, I get Africa by Toto stuck in my head constantly. That and another one that I'm forgetting. But anyways, we're coming up on something called Stupid Rock. The textures in this game are a little weird, and so we're gonna see that here on this rock, very slidey rock. Didn't get quite as far as you want. You do want to end up over by the robot where he kind of pops out, but it's a very slidey boy. And so he's just going to do this dash swing into this cutscene, eliminates that slow walk, do a plunge here, and we're coming into one of the coolest looking tricks in the run, which we call Desert Housing Skip. Thanks to Ceci. But this is a really cool skip found by our resident game breaker Marky. Really fantastic. Just finds the craziest stuff. So we're gonna clip out on this tiny little part of that window, come over here, and you are gonna have to pick up some triggers. This game has some rigid triggers, but you can pick up most of them out of bounds, which is really neat. Thank you, developers, for putting the triggers so far around the bounds. You watch too much. That's yeah, I mean, Africa by Toto is an unironically good song. But anyways, we're gonna see some fancy movement here, and he's gonna pick up this trigger, and what this is gonna allow him to do is he's gonna go back around, and then kind of float down to this platform here, land on that platform. That's the next required trigger that you need to do. Some top runners do platformless, which is a very precise plunge and allows that platform to break without them actually landing on it. Saves a very small amount of time. You'll see on Archmage's screen doing that Stupid Rock physics that I was talking about. So that really cool skip, by the way, what did it skip? It skipped actually it skipped 3 cutscenes, kind of 4, but one of those cutscenes you can skip pretty easily. Anyways, it's a lot of time save. It also saves a lot of, moving around. It's a bit of a beeline. But yeah, platformless, by the way, saves about 1.5 seconds. Thank you, Ceci. Archmage coming up on Desert Housing Skip as well. If you were watching Winsuper screen, though, you might have seen him change the weapons on weapon slot 1 from small sword in the light slot to small sword in the heavy slot. Oh, don't worry, Fluffy, it's coming. In fact, it's coming up very soon on Winsuper screen. He is going to utilize that SD to get rid of some of these enemies and pick up a little bit extra experience here, which we will need because by the end of the run we're going to be incredibly underleveled. As I was saying, though, Winsuper changing around the weapons a bit so that both swords, or both weapon slots, have the light sword in the heavy slot, and that allows for double damage glitch. Unfortunately, Winsuper, not able to get the SD off in time, isn't going to be able to pick up that extra damage or extra EXP that he wanted. But sometimes that happens. He's going to maybe have to do a little bit of on-the-fly rerouting because of that loss of EXP. Archmage going into Pit Fight 2. Pit Fight really sets you up for the rest of the run. It allows you... Sorry. Excuse me, I had a little burp. Really sets you up for the rest of the run. It allows you to possibly get VC3 a lot of the time. It also gives you certain amounts of EXP, and Winsuper, I think, getting a sword dodge skip, which there's a small little Adam cutscene where he says sword dodge, and basically you just deal enough damage in a short period of time that it actually just skips that. Very clean, actually. Adam normally will teleport over to that building over there, and that will lose you a little bit of time. But getting a very, very clean Adam fight. Adam being a little bit dodgy right now, but it looks like this is going to be a pretty clean Adam fight at a sub 30 if he gets the rest of this off. Yep, sub 30. That is honestly a fairly good time for Adam to be done at. Every once in a while, I'm gonna have to breathe. By the way, guys, I'm sorry if there's a silence. It's most likely because I'm trying to catch my breath. So we're gonna see Winsuper. I think Winsuper does know the routing labbed for hours and hours. I wish I was joking. By Canaris, the world record holder. Looks like he had a little trouble getting up that slope. Not quite the route I was expecting, but you can go along here. Again, textures are a little bit funky in this game. This is going to be just clean movement here, and then he's going to actually clip out on this box that he's about to shove. What that allows us to do is go in the out-of-bounds area and get to where you can save, but not trigger a really long dialogue sequence. And this skip actually wasn't like a thing before we switched to loadless, because you're going to quick save and load, and it's a save scum. All right, we want Winsuper to not trigger that dialogue by accident. Okay, perfectly. Very good skip. That is definitely going to save some time. And you'll see him just save and load, and that's going to just pretty much teleport him without losing much time at all. Archmage finishing up Adam at 31:19-ish. Respectable time. Definitely a respectable time. Looks like she's having a pretty good run, honestly. All right.
Maybe we should.
So, again, a lot of this is traversing this overworld type area as much as possible using those dash heavies. Utilizing pod slow-mo so that you aren't getting the problems of the enemies trying to aggro you or you auto-locking onto enemies. Fun fact of the day, this game has a very weird way that it handles locking on, and it's if the enemy is on your screen, like on your camera, it'll lock on. So you can do some interesting camera manipulation to avoid that and be able to dash swing past enemies, but not a lot of runners utilize that very much.
Target location confirmed. I'm worried about the other.
I'm going to take a sip of water real quick.
Surface route's been cut off. So to be, those machines out in the desert look just like androids, right?
Right.
But we androids were modeled.
So Archmage not opting for the save scum, but just going to have very clean movement here. Really doesn't lose much time, honestly. Definitely a viable strat to not go for it. I may not go for it if I'm not feeling confident for my race as well. Definitely understandable. Winsuper coming up on a double lift off of this route, which I've explained before, but this is allowing him to get over this discovery cutscene, and he gets over it perfectly. It's actually a very short trigger. I wonder if he's going to go for auto-scroller coaster skip, which allows you to not be on an auto-scroller and get some extra EXP or virtuous dignity. I don't know if he's practiced that. I don't know if he's going for it, but I would be incredibly hyped if he does. Alright. Otherwise, this is Let's Play, and you might notice that it looks a little bit out of bounds. That's because he is out of bounds. If you have eyeballs, you can probably see that. It looks like he's going to be going for just normal Let's Play. So he's going to pick up a trigger here, go through this, and then that just skips a couple little cutscenes, saves some time, does a little beeline, and he's going to end up going on this roller coaster. Let's hope for some good drops here. Winsuper just kind of getting a little antsy there, shooting off the pod. This part of the game is super gorgeous, by the way, and I gotta point out, music is just incredible in this game. Like, if you didn't know already, it's absolutely gorgeous. For sure, in my opinion, a must-buy, and I'm pretty harsh about video games. I've definitely gotten my money's worth Really great game. So this all really, honestly, if I could hype this up and talk about all this stuff, but really not a lot to talk about for this part because it's just kind of combat, and none of the combat actually changes timing or anything because it's an auto scroller. He's going to pick that up, and it looks like that is a rusty bolt, which you want a dented plate there. You definitely want these guys to drop some dented plates if you're going for the 3rd level upgrade. And it looks like he's got to drop off of the... That's drop right up chip. You want a critical up there, but only one of the enemies drop that. Okay, we're coming into the second kind of real boss fight of the game, which is a lot of people's favorite, called Beauvoir. And it's this opera singer looking character that has a fairly tragic backstory if you play through the whole game. I won't spoil it here, because that's just not the kind of person I am. But this is just going to be very tight combat. One thing to note, though, is that you don't want to kill this first phase too quickly. Because interestingly enough, if you zero cycle this boss, it's actually slower than if you half cycle this boss on this first phase. And that's because if you zero cycle her, she'll actually do a full cycle of an attack instead. Gets the perfect half cycle. Fantastic job from Winsuper. Really great combat, and basically what good combat in this game looks like is double damage glitch. Sometimes pod slow-mo, depending on what boss you're fighting or who you are. If you're Canaris, obviously pod slow-mo is a must. Double damage glitch, taunting, buffing, and pod slow-mo are kind of the 4 things that you're going to need to be balancing when doing combat in this game, and it's difficult. If you watch any of the streamers with a controller map on their stream, it's crazy how quickly their fingers move. So this part, basically all you're hoping for is to not get hacked. Just take out these enemies as quickly as possible, not get into one of those hacking sequences, because that's, oh, like that one, Commentator's Curse, so sorry, Winsuper. But this is basically what that's allowing, that's... had a little brain fart there, guys, sorry about that. Each one of those is about 6 seconds of time loss, unfortunately. Now this, you don't have to worry about cycles. You want to kill her as quickly as possible, take her out of this phase, and gets it. Gonna pick up a little bit of extra EXP here on these other dead androids that are being used as weapons. And again, going into this very quick combat here, really want to try and get rid of this, and then we're gonna set up for something called a death port. Here, I'm not gonna do the normal bit of oh no they died, which is the SD. Fluffy, if you're still around, you're getting your wish. Here it is. Basically, SD takes you down to about 1 health. Winsuper is going to use a small recovery, which is to bring that health up so that it's still a one-shot kill. But you can use SD for a high jump and to get through a little tight squeeze, kind of like an octopus. We'll see that in a second. Archmage just doing the Beauvoir fight, really clean combat. That's what you got to try and do. You just got to go for clean combat. Winsuper just talking to that robot and then harassing it a little bit with his sword. I personally like to kill it before I even get there because I'm a horrible human being. But gonna do this high jump, as I was saying, to skip these ladders. As you might have guessed, ladders are slow. Ladders are slow as hell, man. So we're just going to try and avoid ladders as much as possible using some interesting and fun movement tech that I've covered a little bit before. So we're coming into Pascal's Village, which is actually the spot that we'll be transporting into the most in this run and this game. Octopus, 2B, feels good, man. Those are some tentacles. Anyways, wouldn't mind being wrapped by that. Jesus Christ. Anyways, coming to Pascal's Village, kind of our central hub. You're going to be, if the Resistance Camp was the central hub of the beginning part, this is kind of the central hub for most of the rest of the run, with a few exceptions being Resistance Camp. But most of our buys for the rest of the run, stuff like that, most of the places we're going to be teleporting to are going to be at Pascal's Village. So he's going to pick up an item here. Now, an interesting thing about death in this game, and you know, in general, death. I won't get philosophical or existential on you, but interesting thing about this is that you don't lose your story progress for the most part when you die. So if you're as well as picking up an item, if you pick up a weapon and then you die, you actually keep the weapon. Also, that's the part of SD that I was talking about, where he's going to fit between a inside a tight space, kind of like an octopus. He is looking for a boar here, which he gets. He gets the boar. So what's really interesting about the boar, you're going to see something look really freaking silly in a second. He's going to get to full sprint speed, and then he's going to jump. He's just going to keep jumping. I think. Yep, there he goes. And it looks really silly, because it is really silly. Basically, the boar and the animals have acceleration when they jump. They'd go a little bit faster. They have a little bit of an increase in velocity when they jump every time. And the moose jumps too high, so you don't want the moose. Technically, the small boar is the fastest. I like to call, anytime I get a boar, this one's name is Boris, by the way, because I'm hilarious. You can laugh now. Please clap. But the acceleration, the boar jumps a little bit lower to the ground, so you are able to take full advantage of that jump acceleration. So I'm going to pick up this item. As I said, you don't lose these kind of quest items when you die, and so we're just going to shoot this boar and take a little bit of damage here. It is still a one-shot, even with that small recovery, and it's going to respawn back at Pascal's village. Unfortunately, not a deathless run for Winsuper. Thank you. Archmage coming up on the same thing, going to save here so that she can set up for the death ward. Looks like Winsuper doesn't shoot the biped to get that quick dialogue cancel. A big thing in this game is, in this run rather, is going to be dialogue canceling. There's a lot of dialogue that makes it so you can't progress, so finding out ways around that dialogue is what we're going to be doing a lot. One of those ways is by punching one of the robots. It's probably my personal favorite way of doing that dialogue is to just murder one of those child robots. It's a certain kind of therapeutic joy that you get from it, but it cancels dialogue and allows you to progress. So we're coming into what the game thinks is a boss fight, but us as speedrunners, we say, no, that's not a boss fight. That's literally a double jump. So this skip coming up after some slick, sweet movement from Winsuper, some sick beelines, is we're going to see a very, you know, surprisingly difficult skip. Well, not difficult, but surprisingly precise, rather. It's just a double jump. You just press your jump button twice and jump through a little hole in the wall that the devs for some reason forgot to put there. Otherwise, there's a not super large invisible wall, but there is a bit of an invisible wall. I think Archmage actually maybe killed Pascal, and that's why she's at full health, needed to reload. Honestly, just unfortunate, but it happens to everyone at least once. If it hasn't happened to you, you're maybe lying. Winsuper coming up on the skip I was talking about, though. Gonna get this double jump through a hole in the wall that the devs just entirely, I guess they didn't care to patch it up. I'm not entirely sure. But if he gets that, if he doesn't, then he's going to have to do a double lift instead. It looks like he's going to have to go for the double lift off of this rock here. Doesn't quite get the double lift. Alright, there we go. Gets over that wall. It's not a very tall invisible wall, which, fortunately for us as speedrunners, most of the walls in this game, the ones that try to prevent you from moving forward, they're pretty small. They're pretty short. You show a little bit of fancy movement tech. Archmage doing the backup strat, by the way, very smart, which is SDing over by Anemone and then aggroing the animal. I did that for a long time because I always forgot to set up the the SD when I first started a year ago. Very smart thinking, quick on her feet, good stuff. Winsuper getting a quick kill on Engels, by the way. by just buffing and then going up by his right thigh and just unloading on it. Just all of the pod programs. When interestingly enough, when that camera changes on that flight suit, you're able to unleash your full fury on Angle's leg with that pod program. All of the missiles go directly into his leg, then you do the next pod program. Deals tons of damage. We're going to be coming into another timed section, but with a twist. The world's best buffalo rodeo simulator. I agree. You know, there's not enough of those out there. I know it's a whole genre and a market that's, you know, honestly thriving nowadays. But there need to be more. Anyways, so interestingly enough, you hang up on Commander there by just moving quickly. If you just know the route really well, it's super easy to set up. But this actually sets up something that we call Skype glitch. So you might have noticed that when characters call 2B, there's a little annoying ringing noise, like beep, beep, whatever it is, you know. And they're interrupting you, they're trying to call you. Well, now we don't have to really worry about that, because the game thinks that we're in a call with Commander at all times, and so everyone else is just like, okay, I'm just going to bypass through that and just talk to you directly. It's really funky, honestly. Now, this is the part I was talking about being a timed section with a twist on Winsuper's screen. By the way, I'm going to look out to see if Archmage gets this double jump through that invisible wall, but this time section has a bit of a twist. You're going to want to kill Eve as quickly as possible. And why is that? Because we're going to go out of bounds. I'm going to spoil it. I can't hold it in. But we're going to go out of bounds, pick up some items, and get a little bit of extra EXP, and allow us to dash swing through the tunnels without auto-locking on enemies. So this is just going to be clean combat, but if you look over at Archmage, we'll see if she gets the skip. I really hope she does. That would be pretty great. I would love to showcase it. It's just such an absurd skip. It's so fun to see. Alright, come on. Unfortunately, looks like she doesn't get it, but I think she will be able to get this double lift. Gets it perfectly fine. Should be getting over that wall. Perfect. Really great stuff. So, Winsuper having a little bit of trouble getting out of the bounds. I sound like an old person saying on the Facebook. Getting out of bounds there. Again, as I said, the developers really didn't like making big walls. All they had to do was put a giant wall down that just kind of went on forever. But nope, they decided to make it short enough that we could jump over, which I'm happy about. But we'll see if Winsuper having a little bit of trouble. This part, if you don't get quite high enough, it will push you back out, unfortunately, and that seems to be the problem he's getting. He is finally able to get over it, and we'll see if he's able to get anything from this. Doesn't quite get it. Seems possibly a little bit frustrated with that SC. I do that when I'm frustrated, so I'm maybe projecting a little bit. But basically, he at least was able to show off the clip, which I think is just such a neat clip. It looks so cool. You just get so much hype off of that counterattack into a lift. It's just really cool. Honestly, I love it. We're just going to see some clean movement through the tunnels from Winsuper. And we're going to do another dialogue cancel. So when you go up on this on that ladder, it cancels one dialogue, and he's going to come over here, quickly mash through this dialogue, and then he's going to pick up this teleport to the bunker, and get the next slew of dialogue, if you will. Some tasty, some flavor text, some lore, some stuff like that. But unfortunately, we're not going to hear any of it because it's speedrun. Of course, we're not going to hear any of it. We're going to skip everything we can. So he's going to mash through this and then dialogue cancel. As I said, dialogue canceling, huge. Archmage coming up into the timed negotiations fight as well. Again, just clean combat. I don't know if she goes for the negotiation skip or not. It's definitely by no means a mandatory one. Oh no, Winsuper already in chat saying he forgot about the dialogue cancel. Oh no. That is unfortunately just some time loss. It's not much, but it is a little bit of time loss. So he just has to stand there staring at that at that save point until he can save and transport back to Pascal's village. Unfortunate. Happens to the best of us. Everyone forgets something in their run. I guarantee it. Except for maybe Canaris and Marble, who are they're just stupid good. Let's be real here. So he's going to teleport back to Pascal's village, which I've said is our little hub. So our fun little village. We actually end up spending more time with the robots than we do the androids, which is a bit strange that 9S is still a racist after all this time. How much time does that cost? It costs a few seconds. It's really not much, but it can affect your mentality. So we're going to do some buys here, which are very similar to ones we did before. Nothing incredibly interesting unless he tries to upgrade Virtuous Contract, which I don't think he can since he wasn't able to get that chest out of negotiations. But he's going to sell most of his HUD chips because, honestly, we've sunk so much time into this game we don't even need it. I guess the self-destruct was self-distract instead. I think so an interesting factor about self-destruct is that it stops your momentum. So we'll use it a lot of the time to like stop on a dime. You know what I mean? Because you have a lot of little momentum shifts in this game, and because of that, being able to stop allows for a lot of things. SD is kind of like the Swiss Army knife of this run. It allows for a lot of weird and wacky stuff to happen, including adding an extra heavy for a little bit of extra height, allowing for extra damage, stopping momentum, all sorts of weird little tiny things. And so with really precise kind of places you want to go, I'm sure we'll see Winsuper do another SD little tap here to stop on the dime, pick up another dialogue cancel with 9S like we saw earlier. Archmage coming out of negotiations, and we'll see if she goes for the dialogue skip, and if she gets it, that would be a little bit of an advantage, getting a little bit of time back on Winsuper. That would be really fun to see. So he uses that SD, as I said, Winsuper does on the left, to stop on a dime, get that text box up, and skip some dialogue. That one is a considerably larger dialogue that you have to skip. Ooh, getting a little bit close there. I know I'm heart's beating fast after that one. But you can. Fun fact: people don't know about this backup, but you can skip the dialogue that way, the way that he did it. I saw it being used to speed up a cutscene walk, if that is still in. Unfortunately, no. We found a way to do that much faster. And it's through another way to skip dialogue, because there's like a million ways to skip dialogue in this game, and most of them have been found since GDQ. This run has changed considerably since its time in GDQ.
Looks like the forest is just ahead.
So this part remains fairly unchanged, though, aside from if Winsuper goes for Rainbow Road here. It used to be a skip called Mario Kart, and Rainbow Road is kind of the evolution of that. It cuts out a bit of the middleman and allows us to be a little bit faster. Alright, so Forest is honestly really fun. Once you kind of get all your movement down, once you get everything down, it's one of my favorite sections to play through. It feels so satisfying to move through this whole giant expanse of level so quickly, just because you know the route so well. There's all the little nooks and crannies and stuff like that you can kind of get around, and it feels really good. And then it all culminates in this final two glitches two skips that we'll see on Winsuper screen in a second here, and it just feels so good. I'm not gonna lie, because you just like, if you've played the game or you look at the mini map on Archmage's screen when she gets to it, it's a pretty large area, and being able to use our fancy movement to get through it so quickly just is really fun. So we're coming up on Rainbow Road or Mario Kart. Looks like Winsuper is going for Mario Kart, which she's going to do a little lift, get a little bit of height here, and then aim for that corner here, and then SD. What that SD does is it stops that momentum and makes it so that he actually respawns here, because it tells the game, yo, this person was here when they voided out, plop him right there, rather than back on that little old platform that he was on when starting that. So we don't like being in bounds very long in this run. So we're going to clip out of bounds again. And then Winsuper's going to jump on these very, very conveniently placed windows. I like bringing this up every time because I just love the fact that they... Why did you put collision on these windows? Like, this isn't even... You can't even go over to those windows normally. It's a side-scroller section. But you know what? Thank you so much, developers, for putting collision there, because it allows us to do that really cool skip. It skips the entire expanse of the castle, and that's a fair amount of time. Alright, now Archmage coming up into the 4 robots fight, and then Forest as well, so be sure to keep an eye out on her. She's got some pretty slick movement as well. Winsuper, though, going into a fight that is notoriously difficult for beginners and some casuals. For us, though, first, you know, some seasoned pros and a lot of the runners. It's just another day. It's just another day in the. I forgot the phrase. Another day in the something. Someone in chat tell me. It's gonna bother me for a really long time. But we're gonna see clever usage of buffs, double damage glitch, and pod slow-mo. Wow, very clean A2 fight, in my opinion. I didn't see all of it, but it was either a 1 cycle or like a 1.5 cycle. Now, the game wants us to follow A2 out the window, but you know what? That's slow. It locks you into like a 2 or 3 minute dialogue, and we just hate doing that. Another day at the office. Thank you. Unfortunately, it doesn't get to the... Oh! Gets it anyway. But as I was saying, we don't like dialogue. It takes a long time. It's, you know... We've locked hundreds of hours into this game. Let's just get the dialogue. Let's get past the familiarities, shall we? And so you just do a high jump over that because, you know, as I said, the devs, they just decided, let's just make none of the walls very high. I don't think they expected us to be able to get this kind of height, and we just get over that trigger again. So we're back at our favorite place in the world, Pascal's village. Gonna tell Pascal about this A2 character who's given us some trouble. And he shoots that robot again. As I was saying, shooting the child robot, very therapeutic. Try it sometime to cancel some dialogue and be able to transport back to the resistance camp and start the most fun part of the run, which is Grun. So I'm gonna talk about Grun in a little bit and the incredibly high incentive for that.
Why did you ask Pascal about
Archmage going around. Archmage, since not going for Mario Kart skip, she's going to be utilizing very clean and tight movement, which is going to allow the difference to be very, very, very minor and very tight movement. Just good stuff. Seeing some good stuff from Archmage, throwing out those dash heavies very well, utilizing that plunge to get max speed. On Winsuper screen, though, we are seeing a flooded city, or a flooded city discovery skip. So what that does, he plunges down there, gets that, and then there's a whole slew of stuff that you have to go through. But again, we don't like that. We don't care about that stuff. So he's gonna go over here, SD, to get his spawn right there and be at the end of all that stuff. He's gonna do a quick, some quick short fights against this enemy. Archmage going for the Forest Castle skip. I haven't actually seen her do that before, and gets it. That's incredible. Again, that skip can be very difficult for newer runners. Archmage is a fairly new runner, and seeing her get that after, you know, not doing it a couple days ago is very good. Very good stuff. Seems like she picked up on that very quickly, and a quick version of it as well. Winsuper over here, we're going to see another dialogue cancel by triggering another dialogue that would normally have played when you land on that building. For some reason, it's still there. Who knows? I don't know what the developers were thinking half the time when they coded any of this stuff. It's a little bit spaghetti. But Oh, I didn't realize. But that for some reason you are able to trigger that dialogue and it cancels that dialogue, and both dialogues just kind of, they're like, no. They both disappear, and allows you to get in that flight suit as quickly as possible. So, alright. So one thing I should say about Groon. So this is, again, a shmup sequence. This part is not an auto-scroller, actually, so this part actually does matter how quickly he's taking out these waves. But in a second, it will be pretty much an 11-minute auto-scroller, which you guys can imagine that's probably not the most fun thing to do as a runner. It's a spectacle to watch and play through as a casual player, but as a runner, it gets a little bit tiring. So, we have $2,500 on the line for someone who can find a skip for this section that Winsuper is going through now. Archmage coming up on it as well. 2.5K, 2,500 American dollars, crisp, real money in your pocket if you can find a way to skip this part of the game. Being dead serious, and I'm talking a usable strategy, not something impossible or using mods or anything like that. A real usable speedrun viable strat. $2,500, guys. If that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what does. I'm gonna start looking for it myself, because you know I need that 2.5K. I'm gonna level with you. This race is actually a bit closer than it looks, by the way. Both runners, Archmage going into Groon here as well. US dollars, whatever currency you use, I guess, but it translate to 2,500 US dollars. Sorry, I said American, didn't I? US dollars.
I'm picking up a large-scale enemy inbound. Looks to be 2.8 clicks south.
So this, oh, I'm sorry. I got a cough for a little bit. I'm gonna mute myself. Okay. I'm glad I didn't just cough in your ears. So Archmage coming up on this on Flooded City, doing Flooded City V1, which she's going to grab this cutscene here and then go through Flooded City as quickly as possible. Winsuper is actually on one of the only parts that is not an auto-scroller of Groon, and that's this mid-boss. All these mid-boss fights, this and then the three cores on Groon are not auto-scrollers. So that's just buff up, shoot things, and use your pod programs. That's kind of what it boils down to. Riveting stuff. I know. I cannot imagine how thrilling this is for you guys to watch. But Archmage coming up on it as well. Let's see how she does with the shore fight. She does know the strat to skip the dialogue here, which I was super impressed by, and I'm still impressed by, because it's an old strat, so Archmage really did her research. Getting a pretty good attack pattern on the shore fight as well. And reached next level. I don't know what level that was. I can't see. It's a little bit grainy on my end. Sorry, guys. Let's see how she deals with this flyer. Looks like, honestly, she has improved so quickly and so much, making a lot of gains. Winsuper over here on the left is just going to be taking out these waves as quickly as he can, because more will spawn, and that allows him to get a little bit extra EXP, which I have said we will be very underleveled by the end of this run. Archmage coming up into Groon now as well. So yeah. I hope you guys are having a good day. I don't really have a whole lot to talk about here because honestly it's an auto-scroller. What are you gonna talk about? So let's talk about something interesting. Groon is referred to as a disco whale as well, because I think for probably pretty obvious reasons. Look at that stylish young man. Look at that big boy in the ocean. You're gonna bully that big boy shooting out the party lasers. Just shooting confetti cannons at you. We're about to bully this big disco whale though. Winsuper is coming up on the next non-auto scroller section, which is Core 1, and the core fights are notorious, I should say, for giving people a little bit of trouble. It's some very tight timing. You need to get six swings. I did bring up the bounty. I think it's at 2.5k, Ceci. I think it's at 2.5k or 2.25k dollars in your pocket if you can find a skip for this. So you can take out these small balls so that it can take out the big ball. Does get the one cycle and good RNG. Sometimes those little balls can go off to a side where you can't actually hit them, but he makes very quick work of this first core. That's good stuff. That you can't really ask for a better core than that, honestly. Archmage just going through the auto-scroller part. Not much you can really do there, aside from flail your sword around wildly and just take out the enemies quickly. Are you Yorha? So, fun fact of the day. Disco Whale shoving his balls in your face. I know! Just gotta take him out. Absolute unit. Fluffy, you and I are on the same page right now. You are my best friend at this current moment in time. Now, a fun fact during that section, you can actually just kind of fly through Grun forever. Obviously, you get pushed back every time that there's a cutscene, but you can just kind of go inside of Grun. We're coming up on the mortar on Winsuper, and Archmage has another non-auto-scroller section, which is the Goliath Flyer. Again, just using those pod programs to deal massive damage. Now, you're gonna shoot this. We're gonna shoot something into Grun's mouth, so that's his weak spot. And then on the third one, he's just going to skip this cutscene, and then we're back to auto-scroller shmup, because who doesn't love an 11-minute auto-scroller? $2,500, guys, in your pocket. Direct deposit, whatever you want, check, just, it's in your pocket. $2,500, guys, that's how much we hate this auto-scroller. You know, when people ask you, how much is it worth to you? Yeah, it's $2,500 right now, and it will most likely go higher. If you manage to skip the whole shmup, yes. If you manage to skip this fight, $2,500. I will add in a speedrun viable way. Even if it's ridiculously difficult, I don't care. If it is able to be done in a speedrun, even if it is like 4 frame perfect tricks in a row, you got it.
9S is leaving the front lines. Proposal: 9S should be reported to command.
Sorry, I'm getting a little bit of water. Crisp money. I don't know what else to say besides that. Yeah, this part's always a little bit hard to commentate, guys. I'm gonna be honest, because what do you say? It's like you can only say clean combat so many times. But it is an auto-scroller section. So, I hope you guys are doing well. I guess I'll take this chance to shout out some people. Thank you, Speed Gaming, for hosting us. And if you guys are interested in the run, you can check out our Discord. If you go to speedrun.com, you can check out the NieR Automata stuff. There's a whole lot of resources there, as well as the link to our Discord. I believe it is in there, or you can ask someone. There's always someone in one of the race chats. They can give you the link if you're looking to learn this game. It's a very open community, really, really great. Everyone willing to help. You can talk with the world record holder. There's people that will hold streams specifically just for you to help you learn skips, stuff like that. Winsuper on the left looks like he unfortunately did not get the 1 cycle on this one, but he will pick up the 2 cycle here, or I guess the 1.5 cycle. and get that quick kill on the core. Not too much time lost there. Those cores can be notoriously a little bit rough, a little bit rough on you. But yeah, if you feel like it, join the Discord. A lot of agreeable people, really nice, really great community, willing to help. Also, shout-outs to Winsuper on the left and Archmage on the right. Really great people. Very, two of the people I was kind of mentioning, very easy to talk to. Great streamers. Check out their channels. I'm sure there's easy ways to check it. How does the PC version run by now? It used to be rather broken for a few people. It still is broken for a few people, but there is the Fix Automata Resolution mod, which helps tons of people out. There's some of our runners who have a very hard time running the game at 60 FPS for the entire run, but they download FAR and it does wonders for them. So, Fix Automata Resolution. Again, if you're having any technical issues, the Discord. We're super knowledgeable about the game. We're always willing to help. We actually have a channel in the Discord that's specifically for technology questions, and we've had people not interested in the speedrun at all just come in and ask us, hey, why is my game doing this? Can you help them out? So I would definitely encourage getting the game. Honestly, there's a fix to pretty much everything, any problem you could have. So we're going to see good. And the cores being nice. Winsuper getting really great RNG here. The cores not being mean, not going super far away or anything like that, out of his reach. That's going to be two very quick cores and one slightly slower core from Winsuper. That's a really good Grune segment. Archmage coming up on the mortar fire section, the one where you shoot three big shots into Grune's mouth. So one thing I will say about Grune, despite it being a long auto-scroller section, it does act kind of like a gatekeeper to the actually fun part of the run, which is this next part. But can you see why kids love the taste of Cinnamon Toast Crunch? It's because of the cinnamon swirls, right? Cinnamon Toast Crunch actually is probably my favorite cereal of all time. Definitely one of my favorite cereals of all time. I had multiple surgeries at one point, and I just only ate Cinnamon Toast Crunch for a really long time. Anyways, it's not important. Coming up on probably the most engaging part of the run, tons of skips. This is going to be really dense skips and then combat. And the first one we're going to see is I would say probably the most precise clip in the game. Only works at a couple different degree angles. It's called Copied City Clip. And it really doesn't save enough time for you to try it multiple times, but once you're kind of trying it, you're kind of locked into it. So we're going to see Winsuper try and get this. If you get it within 3 tries, it's usually pretty good. Very precise. It's not the most difficult. All you have to do is a heavy hold, but the angle is very, very precise. It looks like from the chat, Winsuper getting a little bit frustrated at it. I know that I have personally gotten incredibly frustrated. Totally understandable. Gets it. Good job. Really not that bad. Oh, little funkiness with the elevator. You can soft lock by going in that elevator too early when it's not loaded. So that's a pretty kind of oh boy, heart beating a little bit fast there on that. It looks like he stopped himself before actually going near it, but that's a little dicey sometimes. Archmage still in the just in the auto scroller section. Again, just clean combat there. Winsuper is going to be coming up on one of my favorite skips in the game, despite the fact that I am utter garbage at it, called Mansplaining Skip, which is probably the best name for any of the skips aside from Meat Spin Skip. But Mansplaining Skip is fairly precise as well, not nearly as precise as Copied City Clip. But what he's going to do is, Adam likes to talk. Adam likes to, oh my god, he gets it first try, no problem. Doesn't even land and kind of spaz out a little bit. That was like one of the most perfect angles for mansplaining I've ever seen in my life. Basically what this does though, Adam likes to mansplain. He likes to just, humans, they're humans and they do human things. And you're like, okay guy, like I've heard this speech a million times. What we're gonna do is this elevator, if you try to leave, Pod will say, proposal prioritize mission of getting 9S back or whatever. But you do have to wait for the second phase of the dialogue, which is after only then. Proposal prioritize search for 9S, and that dialogue cancels the mansplaining skip. I'm sorry, it's the only way for me to explain mansplaining. I don't know how to, I don't know how else to talk about it without just kind of being incredibly silent. But Pod basically just puts up his finger and says, yo, I'm gonna let you finish, but 2B had the best speech of 2017. But going into this combat, an interesting thing is that you only want to get him down to this threshold where they start having this "give me back 9S" dialogue, right? And then that basically just, if you actually kill him, it's a huge, long time loss. So dealing too much damage there is another one of two examples where you're actually going to lose time for dealing too much damage too quickly. Now this, you just want to murder him. You just want to kill him. Just get rid of him. Just delete him. And so you're just going to see the normal stuff that we've seen, which is double damage, glitch, buffing, and taunting. Picking up 9S, and then we're coming up on another dialogue skip, but Archmage going for core 2, I believe. I'm sorry, I think I may be miscounted. But Winsuper going to do this dialogue skip, which allows us to grab this teleporter over here and pick up some mail that gets the next quest. If you did watch this at... a little funky. But if you did watch this at GDQ, then you would have seen half-coordinated go over to the other teleporter over by the bridge, pick up the mail there, then go over, wait for Pascal, SD. That takes a long time. We're not about that. So we skip the dialogue, pick up the mail here, and then go meet Pascal over there. But you will see an interesting strat, I think, on Winsuper's screen, which we call the Pantsu strat. Archmage going for the Flooded City Void Out as well, gonna get on the bridge. And then she'll be going down into Copied City and fighting Adam as well. Gonna do some slick movement to try and save some time here. So Winsuper is coming up on probably the, let's say, the gnarliest gauntlet of skips in the game, which is all culminated into a thing we affectionately call Deep Factory. Oh boy. This is big boy time when it comes to talking. Deep Factory has an incredibly large amount of stuff going on, and I will try to explain everything. So the first possible thing that you can do, there's a giant room full of just tons of enemies, and you have to kill a certain amount of them to get an elevator to spawn. Oh, but first, Winsuper is doing the Pantsu strat. And the Pantsu strat is you try to look at, let's say, 2B's upper thighs, and she tries to push away the camera, but you can keep the camera in place, and that is said by some that is slightly faster than that slow walk you get locked into there. 2 booty, that is right, Winsuper. Yo, Super, if you can hear, you should SD by the elevator, just for fun. But what Winsuper might do, I don't know if he's the type of guy to go for getting rid of the mooks or not, but you can void out and despawn the mooks and get the elevator to spawn, and then you go up the elevator, and then we'll see some interesting stuff here. Archmage coming up into Copied City now. Going to be approaching her Adam fight fairly soon here, so keep an eye out for that. It's very fun. Oh, going for some swag. Archmage going for the swag. Ooh, gets a good one too. That's one of those weird physics that we've talked about, which is it's very slidey. That one's just looks super cool. That's always a treat to see. Archmage is actually going to be going for mansplaining. Let's see how she does on this. as we're going to be waiting for Winsuper. Gets it first try! Wow! As I said, new runner, you know, I still have trouble with that skip pretty frequently. Oh, get in there, girl. Oh, it looks like she's having a little bit of... getting a little bit stuck in there. That's not... That's just the game being a little funky. We're coming into Mook's room, though, which is, oh. Fortunately, clips back in. It can be a bit finicky, but it looks like Winsuper is actually going to go for despawning, so he's going to clip out here and then void out, and that is going to despawn these enemies. Oh, it looks like he's not going to be able to get it in time with the heavy hold method. The heavy hold method is a bit finicky, but he's just going to kill these enemies as quickly as possible, getting really generous crits on this. And so that's going to make very quick work of these enemies. Ooh, getting a little bit close there. But he's going to make very quick work of these enemies, and then he's going to get in that elevator, which should spawn after this enemy. Yes. Ah, yeah, that makes me look way more knowledgeable about the game than I actually am. But he's going to go down this elevator, and then he's going to do a few more really interesting stuff, because this is where the gauntlet truly begins. And this stuff, this has a huge room for error on Winsuper. It's hard. It's a big gauntlet, and so the first thing he's going to do is come up here. He's going to go up and clip out of bounds here to respawn this elevator, because you'll see the door is open, so this is going to allow the door to close and allow him to go back inside of the elevator. So he's going for the heavy hold method, which is going to be having a little bit of trouble with this pipe. It is a lot harder than it looks, I promise. Gets through it, perfect. Good stuff. And so that's going to respawn the doors on the elevator, allows him to open it and go through it again, and is going to allow us to get up to that point that we were just at. Mook's room happens to be at a very high point in Factory. Runners can watch the stream, but basically he's going to come up here and he's going to clip out, and then, so because this game is pretty strict on the triggers, I would say, you're going to have to go over here and pick up this trigger with, and then the cool thing though is that he's going to pick up that trigger, but he's going to be having quote-unquote been falling long enough that the game thinks it's voids out, so he voids him out, puts him back there, and then he's going to get through here. This is a little bit Monka-esque. If you land behind that scaffolding, that is a soft lock, and it is brutal. But he gets through it, so he picks up that trigger, voids out, and then just plunges into that area and skips almost all of Factory. And then both runners are also both ahead of stream, but it's possible that Archmage may be on PB pace. Yeah, that happens. It is a restream, Fluffy, so that does happen. That's true. That's true. So it looks like Winsuper having a little bit of trouble getting on top of this thing. So something that you can do there is go over and do a string of high jumps to get into an area. So what he's just going to do is this is just a timed section. We're working on a little bit of a dialogue cancel for this, actually. The amount of times I've said that. I found something possibly interesting to skip some of the dialogue in this section, but you just are gonna wait this out, wait for Ninus to turn off the power, wait for the EMP shield to go down, and then you're just gonna wail on this ball. Which ball's name is Soshi, but I just always call him the ball fights because honestly it's easier. My voice is getting a little bit hoarse, a little bit tired. So the power should be going out pretty soon. You see Winsuper buffing up for that, and now he's just gonna wail on him. Archmage going for the Pantsu strat. Let's go Archmage. Let's go for the Pantsu strat. Pantsu strat is dope. Pantsu strat is mostly swag, by the way. I love seeing the runners just kind of swagging out, you know, because normally when you're running, you're going for PB pace. Winsuper, pretty good ball fight, pretty good Soshi fight. Gets the instant kill. There's massive damage. If you played this casually, you'll notice that the fights are a bit slow. Pantsu strat, by the way, which I explained earlier when Winsuper did it. You try to look at 2B's upper thighs, and she tries to wipe away the camera, and it is said that it is slightly faster than that slow walk animation that it locks you in. So I don't think we're going to see Winsuper going for Shabu clip. Nope, he's just going to go for clean, fast factory movement. Which you're going to see some dash swinging when he can, when he's not going to auto-lock onto an enemy. Archmage just waiting for this priest, this robo priest to open up his elevator for her. Nice. And then she's going to get started with her own factory gauntlet. So one thing that I like pointing out, because I think it's kind of a weird, oddly poetic thing to me, is that the last skip in the game that you do, like the last actual trick that you do, is one of the first tricks that you do in Prologue. It's the same exact thing, so it all comes around full circle, and I think that's so cool, because I'm such a little nerd. Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with you, Neon Ghost. I love the idea of like, if you can see the race. See, some people don't like seeing the race, though. It psychs them out. It makes them a little bit anxious. So there is an advantage to not watching it. There's an advantage to watching it. And honestly, you want to be cool. Like, everyone wants to be kind of cool. And so this tournament has had a lot of swag in it. It's been really fun to see. Yeah, there's definitely, pros and cons to having the stream open and not having the stream open. It's honestly, as someone, I had the stream open in one of my races because I crashed. Unfortunately, lost about 20 minutes. There's no recovering from that. And so I had chat open, and I failed a lot of things because I was reading chat, looking at where my opponent was, stuff like that. So, as I said, Winsuper kind of did the last trick of the run a second ago, and so what's left is just basically this big, long, gnarly boss rush. And so it's just going to be clean combat, smooth, and good, just good stuff. We're going to see if Winsuper, Archmage going for just going for the clean movement strat. So she's going to be going through factory, and you're going to be seeing a lot more factory than we saw on Winsuper's, and she's just going to be going for clean, fast movement. And that will be that should yield pretty good results for her. I'm interested to see how she handles crushers. Those can be pretty heartbreaking. The main reason that, in my opinion, I like skipping factory instead of running through it is because I get to skip crushers. So this is honestly a very bold pick on her part. It's always mad respect for anyone that wants to go through factory. So Winsuper is going to be starting the boss rush now, and there's 4 bosses that are coming up, and it's another ball fight, upgraded ball boy 2.0, if you will. And he's got this electric field around him. We don't care about that. We've got resilience, which I explained a little bit earlier, but when you have over 80% health, you don't stagger. The thing on Archmage's screen is so scary, by the way. Those things one-shot you, and it is a run killer. Winsuper, though, taking on the ball boy, which is Bokushi, and doesn't get the instant vacuum. Gets a pretty quick vacuum, though. Gonna SD here, pick up a little bit of extra health, and then this is the second boss in the boss rush, which we call Core 1, not to be confused with Grun Core 1. I know it's really great at naming over here at the NieR community, but this Core 1 is basically, you're gonna go up on this hill and lure it there so that it right there while you do these dash heavies that I've talked about being damage glitch, and just make real quick work of it. I think Archmage coming up on second set of Crushers, which again, Crushers. I'm knocking on wood. I'm crossing my fingers, I'm crossing my toes, I'm crossing my tongue, I'm crossing everything, guys. Crushers are scary. I don't want to jinx it because I can knock on wood. The Crushers, they're a run killer, man. They're terrifying. Mad respect for anyone that faces Crushers. Second place runner in the world faced Crushers a lot, and oh man, he's a god. But Winsuper coming up on the next core, which is this kind of weird snake worm looking thing that comes up out of the ground. And what you're going to see is he's just going to make very quick work of it. He's going to deal as much damage as possible, get the ball to fall out. He may one-cycle it. I've only seen one runner in the tournament go for it, and it's Fullest, who's is number 5 in the world. Really fantastic runner. Let's see what Winsuper does here. If he goes for this one-cycle, it'll be incredibly hype, but if he doesn't, then just has a clean core 2 fight, that would be incredible as well. Alright, sweet, gets the core down, pretty clean. Oh, and he goes for the dialogue cancel with 9S. I'm not entirely sure if he got it. It's a little bit grainy on my screen. I couldn't see if the dialogue popped up or not. But what that dialogue cancel with 9S does there is that it saves just a little bit of time because it cancels some of the dialogue. I think he did get it, and that means that Eve is going to spawn earlier. My voice is getting tired, guys. I hope it's been worth it. He's going to go into here, spawn Eve. Yep, he definitely got it. That's definitely quicker than it normally is. So Eve's an angry boy. A real angry boy. He's going through his angsty teenage phase. We've all had those, right? Where you try to murder someone for killing your brother. Totally relatable. But what we're going to see is just clean. I don't have any more water. Oh no, he gets platforms. That is unfortunately some time lost there. That sucks, but that can happen when you're trying to go so fast. Eve can just pull up those platforms. You get a little bit of time lost there. Let's hope that Winsuper has a really clean next part. I'm curious if he's going to go for this. Oh, he's going for it. He's going for the phase skip. So if you do this part and his health doesn't get all the way up, it completely skips a phase 2, which is incredibly hyped to see. It's very difficult. I'm very curious if he gets this. Oh, that crit was very close. It was so close. If it had happened a second later, it would have been perfect. Unfortunately, he doesn't quite get it, so he's going to just have to deal a little bit of quick damage here. Pretty good, solid time coming from Winsuper right now, though. At a 1:30, you've got about a minute, maybe 2 minutes left, depending on how your third and fourth Eve phases go. These are very RNG dependent, depending on how Eve decides to treat you that day. If he decides to fly away from you, kind of like you're magnets of the same positive or negative. You never know what's going to happen on any given day. But we'll see. We'll see how. So you'll notice that Winsuper is doing these higher jumps and stuff like that, which is going to allow him to actually hit Eve and punch him rather than just shoot him. Sorry, couldn't. Breathe. Breathing is hard. So that's going to allow him to do stuff. I know it's a little bit hard to see. Some of us have been having some frame issues when streaming. Pretty clean phase 3 though. You can see that give the runners a lot of trouble. Archmage opting to try and kill these robots so that she doesn't have to worry about them with the pod launch. As I said, there is a problem with the auto lock on. Good job. Gets through. Winsuper coming up on time here pretty quick. Eve being very kind to him, just standing right next to him. Oh, as I say that, starts flying away. But honestly, very kind Eve phase 3. A lot of the time he'll just fly away. And that's going to be a 132, like, let's see, it's a 132.15, 132.16. I believe 132. Is my math wrong? It's about 26 seconds from that final cutscene to actual time. Oh, okay, wait. 20. Okay, it's about 23. Yeah, okay. Thank you, Mighty Spend. We're almost at the end. That's it for Winsuper, and we'll switch over to Archmage's audio. And then
Let's move.
done. Nope, that's not the right audio. It's my bad.
Increasing like this.
Hello?
Try
There we go.
contacting the bunker via laser relay system.
Affirmative.
Hey,
Hey,
how you feeling?
sort of good, I guess. It was very close to my PB.
It was very close to your PB. I was kind of surprised, honestly.
I lost. Platforms sort of killed me a bit.
I know. That was heartbreaking.
It's fine. I'm just surprised I actually got that close, to be honest.
I'm gonna level with you. I am too. I saw some stuff that I was like, oh man, like I've got a chance. And then I saw your time and I was like, well, okay.
Yeah,
never mind.
I took a really long time to get out to the like 9S room. And somehow lost my dash trying to do Deep Fight 3v2.
Oh yeah, I saw that. That made me nervous. You got dangerously close to being behind those scaffolds, boy.
Yeah, that was scary.
But honestly, you know, great run. It's so close to your PB.
Yeah, it was close, yeah.
And if you're thinking, man, there was like spaghetti, or I did this, like, just think like you were that close to your PB, like you're gonna be breaking that PB in no time.
Oh, I hope so.
Oh, you will, man. You're improving so fast. Probably against me, you can go sub 130, and I'm just gonna have no chance. It'll be great.
I'm not sure about that one.
I believe I can. You, by the way, you have all the right to trash talk me as much as possible after you completely destroy me in the tournament. But real quick, Archmage coming up on ball fight number 2, Bokushi. Making quick work of Bokushi as well. Can you get a pretty quick thing here? Voices.
Yeah, where is Archmage compared to PB?
Archmage's PB was a 146, so she is.
This could definitely.
It definitely has a chance to PB.
That's a big chance.
It has a very big chance. Obviously, I'm gonna knock on wood.
Yeah.
But but if she's gonna do hill strats as well, gets it right, does it perfectly. Gonna grabs those buffs, doing everything right now. This is very exciting, very big chance you could BB on this one, guys. If you have the chance, send her your energy right now, chat. She's gonna need it to finish up this run. This boss rush is brutal, but she could PB off of this. Very likely that she could. I'm gonna knock on wood again, because every time I say something in this tournament, then when I haven't knocked on wood, it has been commentator's curse, and people have suffered the price for it. Oh. Yeah, is there anything in particular that you felt really great on, that you normally don't feel like you necessarily do well, or that you are consistent on? Is there anything where you're just like, that felt so good?
I'm not completely sure. I think my A25 was better than it usually is.
Your A25 was awesome.
Yeah,
I think you one-cycled her.
It was, yeah, I think it was one cycle. Maybe? I saved like 11 seconds on that split.
That's gotta be a one-cycle, right?
So, maybe, yeah. Must be.
I'll rewatch the VOD when it gets put up. But I mean, you got was this your first race in the tourney, right?
Yeah, this is my first.
Yeah. So you've got you're 1 for 1 right now. That's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah. It's good. Next race is we getting completely destroyed by Forest.
Everyone gets destroyed by Fullest, but honestly, you could, if you're consistently going 132s, you could very well give him a run for your money, run for his money. Archmage actually getting a really clean core too, as well. This has a very real chance of PBing, guys. Archmage already, Archmage has already PB'd once in this tournament. PBing again would be absolutely incredible. She's at a 138 right now. 146 is her PB. Let's check real quick. 146.58. So if it's under a 146.58, that would be a PB.
She could take like 2 minutes on the PB.
Yeah, she's been improving very quickly. Now, you know, Eve always the trickster. Gives everyone a little bit of trouble. Treats everyone horribly. Let's see how he treats Archmage today. If he's in a fickle mood, what he's feeling. Let's see if she skips platforms. That's a good attack to have. Blocks him in an animation for a while. It looks like she will skip it. So she does get platform skip. And that's going to lock her into phase 2. I've been talking for a while.
Yeah, I imagine your voice is a bit...
Yeah, and I like, when I commentate, I never stop talking. My poor co-commentators, man. They're just like, Jack, hey, wait, or Shabu, whoops. That's just gotta peek into my real life for a second there. Alright, pretty clean phase 2 as well. This, you know, I don't want to jinx it, but this is definitely more likely to PB than it is to not PB at this point. By a decent amount too.
Yeah, this is even more than I
Yeah,
thought.
this fight on average takes about 2 minutes. Just gotta keep those heals and those buffs up, man. Just making me nervous. But basically, this fight takes, on average, these 2 phases at least take about, you know, maybe a little less, maybe about 2 minutes. Also, Mighty Sven, it's me. I'm your best friend. Sorry to tell you that. That's unfortunate for you. Oh, she needs to. Don't make me nervous. When people forget to buff on Eve, it just.
Oh yeah, I have died too many times to Eve, but not defense buffing.
Oh, I know.
Getting overconfident and not using defense buffs.
I know. I can't tell you how many runs have died. For me on that. Pretty good phase 3 too. All right, guys, chat. Give the energy. Let's hope the RNG is good today. All right, this could be a crazy PB, guys. This could be an absolutely bonkers PB. This would be huge. Wow, that's gonna be, holy shit.
Oh, this is gonna be like a...
Holy shoot.
I haven't seen Eve die yet.
That's gonna be like a 5 minute, nearly 5,
oh yeah, that's like
a little under 5 minute PB. I counted wrong, but it's gonna be a 4 minute PB.
Like 4 minute 50 PB.
Yeah,
down.
like barely under
really
5 minutes PB. That is crazy. Let's get some PB hype in the chat, guys. That's nuts. Freaking nearly 5 minute PB. Good stuff. Are the NieR spoilers in this stream? Yes, everything's a dream. You're welcome. It's Yoko Taro's fever dream. That's actually the Japanese release of NieR is actually named Yoko Taro's fever dream. That's not true. But but Winsuper, great race, man. You did fantastically. I mean, obviously, you know, there's always some tiny things. Any race, you're going to be, any run, really, you're always going to have a little bit of a, you know, little kind of, oh, I wish I had done this, I wish I had done this. But, I mean, you can't. Yeah, you can't complain about how great that consistency is. I'm curious if Archmage is going to be joining us. We've got about like five minutes or so before we're going to get kicked off, I think. And peanut butter, PB and J.
So I saw Archmage type Pascal in chat earlier.
Oh, she killed
what
Pascal.
What was that about? Oh, she killed
it. Yeah.
Oh,
it happens to everyone.
Yeah. I've accidentally shot Pascal while trying to cancel dialogue too many times.
Oh, I know. I've done it too, and you're just like, ah. You know, like, how else do you react? You're just kind of like, yep. Alright. But, yeah, dude, I feel like you did a great job. You both did a great job. Congrats on the PB, Archmage. I don't know if she can hear me, but great stuff. Nearly 5-minute PB. That is absolutely insane.
Going places.
Yeah, going up. But and you again. I'm telling you, man. You're gonna get another PB here soon. I have a feeling that your race with Fullest is going to be a lot more close than you're giving yourself credit for right now. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Fullest is probably just gonna like PB about 3 minutes and get it.
Yeah, Fullest is like sneakily competitive.
Yeah, he likes to play it off as he doesn't play the game, he doesn't care. But I know he actually.
Mm-hmm. 1 sec. 132. So you went 132.22. I'm just gonna put. But I'm serious. You know, in this format, you never know what's gonna happen. You could have a crash and lose 20 minutes of your race. 142.03. 142. Sorry, I just need to put this in spreadsheet. But your next race is against Fullest on the 16th, and that's something that people should definitely be looking out for, because I think that race is going to be quite close. My money is going to be on a pretty close race. I have a feeling Fullest sometimes gets some nerves. I'm not going to lie. Fullest gets some nerves, and so I've seen him, you know, I've seen him go a 128, but I've also seen him go around a 130 or 131 in a race. I mean, with your consistency right now at a 132, I think it'd be a pretty darn good race.
Maybe. I've definitely had some nerves throughout most of this. Oh, just like constant nerves.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking. Well, I'm gonna probably. Is there anything that you want to say before we kind of sign off?
I just want to thank everyone who organised this tournament. It's a lot of fun, so I'm happy that everyone got this sorted out.
Yeah, thank you so much
for watching.
Thank you so much, Speed Gaming. Thank you so much, viewers.
Yeah, Speed Gaming.
But yeah, thank you for putting on such a good show. I really appreciate it. I had a great time commentating, both you and Archmage. Looks like we're getting some Archmage in the Discord chat. Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
You could have come a while ago.
Come on, as soon as you finished.
You could have come on as soon as you finished. You good?
Oh, I was waiting for the bot notification. I'm used to waiting for it. I'm sorry.
How do you feel about that? Obviously pretty good.
Yeah, that was great, actually. Like, I made a little list of notes of stuff I want to talk about because I always forget. You're like high on adrenaline. You don't remember what jumped out at you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I'll go through those. I don't know what happened with mansplaining. That was really upsetting, and I don't know what the deal was with that. So,
you need to just jump a little bit closer to that awkward angle in the corner. I did see you get kind of stuck in that little triangle area. It's a funky skip, man.
Yeah,
I totally.
You have to be right in that like corner of the box in the wall.
Yeah, it's funky. I've had that issue before. Absolutely. What else did you want to talk about, by the way?
I killed Pascal again. I need to stop doing that.
I know. I saw that.
Oh my god, that's the worst.
I just like running through.
I realized that I can like
Pascal.
I can target and then shoot, and then that shoots like the closest thing rather than Pascal. But, oh, feels dumb. That was the first time that I got angles back up, like not even in practice. I'd never succeeded in practice. I just like happened to fluke it this run, and that was hype as shit.
I saw you going for a lot of stuff that I haven't seen you go for before. I was really happy about that.
Yeah, I did lots of practice.
It too.
Yeah.
The practice definitely showed.
Yeah, castle skip was another that I've been practicing, and
I know
that went, like clockwork.
Yeah, I saw that. It's fast.
I did lots of dash swinging. I didn't do that in my previous run, so I think that's a big part of why I PB'd. But core 1 didn't go on the hill. I don't know why there were like 3 or 4 things that just like refused to go my way, but
yeah, core 1 can be very finicky. It's a bit of a funky one.
Well done, Winsuper. Congratulations on your win.
Well done on the PB.
Thanks. It's a good race.
Everyone wins today.
Yeah.
Except for my vocal cords.
Thank you for commentating by yourself.
No. I love doing the commentary. It's great. Solo commentating was pretty fun because I could just kind of go
talking.
Just go and not think about any, like obviously think about stuff, but like not think about, okay, well I need to hand off to my co-commentator now, and then okay, we got to make sure we talk about this. Okay, he didn't talk about that, so I need to talk about this. And co-commentating and commentating in general, it's a lot. It's a lot of work. But yeah, it's really great stuff. Honestly, I've gotten really great races to watch. Watching you PB, and watching Winsuper just being so consistently fast. Like, what the heck, man? I thought I'm so pissed. So angry. I'm angry, Winsuper.
I'll just have to get punches next time.
Yeah,
I'm
I got
not worried
punches
about
too.
prologue.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, you did get punches.
I would like gold at prologue if not for punches. Sigh.
Yeah, unfortunately that does happen. So either of you, do you have anything you particularly want to say? We're gonna kind of running out of time here.
Yeah, I'm good.
You good?
I'm good.
You good? All right, then I'd just like to say thank you guys for putting on a show. It was very entertaining. I had a great time commentating. Thank you, viewers and chat in particular, for chatting with me, keeping me kind of on my toes, always paying attention to stuff. Really appreciate you guys watching. Stay up to date. Check out the schedule. Watch some other races. There's some other great commentators and some other great runners. And so you want to check those out. Trust me, there's going to be some great stuff coming. So I like to end things a similar way when I do videos, but I'll end this commentary stream my own brand of stuff. I hope you guys have a great day. and a greater life, and we will see you in the next one. You guys want to say bye?
Yeah.
What?
See you, everyone.
All right.
See you guys.
See you guys.